Hi guys, welcome to another All Things Tennis racket review video. Today we're with George Helton. George is new to the ATP team. He's won a UK Pro League event last year and has got an ATP singles ranking. He currently uses a Pure Drive VS, so it's 98-inch head size, 305 gram weight, and we're testing 8 rackets today to see what his new racket will be going forward. All the rackets today are strung freshly with Torbite 125 at 55 pounds, so we've got a nice consistent review across all rackets. Thanks for the feedback on YouTube comments with that one. Okay, so the first quarterfinal of the day, we've got the Dunlop SX300 and the Babolat Pure Aero. That's a new Pure Aero for 2022-2023. These are both very spin-friendly rackets. This is the SX300 Tour, so it's a 98-inch version. It weighs 305 grams. And the Aero is a 100 square inch version with the 300 grams, okay? So George, take us through each racket. The Aero is in your hand. What did you like about the Aero?
Yeah, I liked in both of them there was a lot of spin, so I felt like I had quite a lot of control over the ball, wasn't missing too many long. I felt with the Aero the sweet spot was a bit bigger and a bit more consistent. I felt like if I didn't quite hit it in the centre, I still had a similar kind of shot. Whereas on the Dunlop, I felt like it had to be a bit more specific and there was a bit more variance with the sweet spot. And
then in terms of moving forward and the net and touch, how did they compare?
They both felt good. I think it was a little bit of a similar story at the net on the Dunlop. If it wasn't quite perfectly clean, I didn't quite come off as effective, but on the Aero I felt it was a bit more forgiving. I think they both had good feel around the net.
Yeah.
I think the spin probably helps that with a bit of slice on the volleys.
On serves, were you able to kind of hit your spots nicely with each racket?
Yeah, I did. I felt that, again, similar, the spin really helps, especially on second serves and on sliders, because then I could get enough slice and enough kick. I think on the flat serve, I think they were both great, so they're quite powerful rackets, so definitely.
So with these two rackets, what kind of player would they suit?
I think they both suit a similar player, of someone who hits quite a lot of spin on both their shots, and potentially it's nice to hit lots of shape on their ground strokes and potentially a baseline kind of player.
Tough question, but if you're going to take one forward, you've obviously used the Pure Aero a little bit before. Does that kind of translate to you taking that one forward? Which one would you go for?
Yeah, I think I personally prefer the Aero. I think that may well be due to I used this when I was younger, but I definitely felt more comfortable with the Aero in my hand. Okay,
so there you have it. The Pure Aero 2023 takes the quarter-final and goes through to the semis. Tough draw for Dunlop on that one. Okay, so the second quarter-final, we're looking at 2 305 gram racket stock. As I said, George has come from the Pure Drive VS, which is exactly that, 98-inch head size and 305 gram stock. So, Tecnifibre, the TF40 range, is quite a thin-beamed player's racket. Very comfortable frame, it's got foam inside the frame, which helps with that kind of vibration for those that maybe suffer from tennis elbow and the like. And you've got the EZONE 98. This is the Osaka paint job you may have seen in other videos with us. It's a limited edition paint job, but it's exactly the same as the V7 EZONE 98. So, EZO's in your hand. Let me know what you thought about the racket.
Yeah, I think firstly I really like the limited edition paint job. I think black rackets always look very slick, so I really liked that initially, and then I felt very comfortable with this. I think that may be due to it being similar to my Pure Drive at the moment. I felt that I had good control and plenty of spin on the ball to actually bring it back down, considering it is a fairly powerful racket. So yeah, I really like the Yonex.
Okay, and then directly comparing then, how was spin production different between the two, and maybe talk about how power was different as well?
Yeah, I found them fairly similar in general, but I would say the spin production would be the main difference. That I found there was a bit more spin with the Yonex compared to the Tecnifibre. I felt they were both very comfortable around the net. They both gave me very good feel, and similar on serve actually, they gave me good power. These
rackets are known to be quite good on the arm. Obviously, Yonex well known for its vibration dampening qualities, and Tecnifibre has done a really good job on this racket, especially with the foam inside. Did they feel both very comfortable to you compared to maybe the other rackets we're playing with today?
Yeah, they did. I've actually had problems in my shoulder myself, so that's quite a big factor for me. So I think they did. I was very comfortable with both of them, had no shockwaves through my arm or anything. They definitely both felt good.
Okay, so it sounds like a pretty tricky choice then. Did one racket do enough to kind of push forward against the other?
Yeah, I think I'm going with the Yonex this time, just from the slightly more spin production.
Yeah.
I think that helps from what I'm used to with the Pure Drive. I think I need a little bit more spin than what the Tecnifibre offered to me today.
Okay, so there you have it. The EZONE 98, a very popular frame for us, is through to the semi-final, taking out the Tecnifibre TF40 305. Okay, so the next quarterfinal, you have the Pure Drive, the standard 300 gram version. This is a racket George said he definitely wanted to try out today. So it's in here, okay, versus the Speed MP. So these rackets are very similar spec-wise, okay, so 300 grams bang on, 100 square inch head sizes. You say the Pure Drive's maybe a little bit stiffer, a little bit more powerful. Speed probably offers more control, but what kind of came through when you were using these two rackets?
Yeah, initially I found it interesting considering they do have identical profiles, that they did feel fairly different.
Right.
The head definitely offered more control and a bit more feel around the net, I would say.
Yeah.
But then it also, I think, offered a lot less spin production compared to the Pure Drive.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a trade-off for more feel, but kind of less spin, less power.
Okay, yeah.
For me.
And then in terms of when you were hit with the racket, the feedback you were giving, that maybe the speed didn't translate to your game as well. The 100 square inch head, you mentioned the slightly thicker beam. Yeah,
I found that the thicker beam, especially around the throat of the racket, for me with a one-handed backhand, when I was holding it, felt a little bit uncomfortable just because it's fairly wide and almost sharper, I guess, rather than being rounded at the throat. So I just felt a little bit uncomfortable in my single-handed backhand compared to the Pure Drive with a bit more of a thinner beam around the throat.
Yeah, slightly more aerodynamic throat here, okay. That makes sense. So what about serves? Did one kind of outshine the other?
Yeah, I think so. I preferred the Pure Drive on serve. I think in both easy power, so on the flat serves it was more beneficial, and then even more spin production as well on the kickers and the slice serves. I felt I could hit all the spots with the Pure Drive.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like this one may edge it, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit biased towards the Pure Drive, but the Pure Drive is going through for me today.
So there you have it. The Pure Drive takes this quarterfinal over the Speed MP. That sounded like Pure Drive's power just got it through there. Okay, so for those guys at home thinking, how did they test these rackets? Is it just a couple of shots? Well, no. George ripped through the strings on this Strike VS, and they were all strung brand new yesterday with Tour by at 55. So this just shows what an extensive racket test this is at All Things Tennis. Okay, so the Strike VS, before you broke the string beautifully in the middle here, okay, what did you think of the Strike VS first?
I liked it. I think I've tried strikes in the past and I found them a little bit too stiff for my liking, whereas I found this one to have a bit more forgiving and a bit more power production. Okay. So I definitely preferred this VS version to the usual strike. I found it had good feel around the net compared to, has a bit more control and things, so I like that.
So this is quite a thin beam Babolat. It's not like a quintessential Babolat where you think like lots of power, lots of spin. Thin beam, lots of feel I think comes through with this, but it's the 97-inch head. Did this feel maybe less forgiving than other rackets you tried today?
I think, to be fair, considering it's a 97 square inch, it did actually feel fairly forgiving. I didn't notice that much that it was going to be a lot tougher on me if I didn't hit the sweet spot, so I think that was a real good factor for this racket. Okay, all right, so let's compare the two then. Obviously you've got the Head Extreme. It's a Tour version, 98, 305 grams. It's a brand new Auxetic version for 2022. How did these two compare from the baseline? This is Head's most spin-friendly racket. Did that translate to, were you able to generate lots of spin from the baseline? Yeah, definitely. I think, especially on my forehand, I found that there was a lot of spin production on this, and that enabled me to relax on it a bit more and, if anything, hit a bit harder because I knew the ball was going to come down the other end. Yeah. So I think that was a big factor for me, and especially I'm a very big fan of spin-friendly rackets. I'm very happy with this racket, definitely. How were the two from the baseline? So spin production was great with this racket. Was it better than the Strike, do you think? Yeah, I think spin production was probably better with the Head. Yeah. I think maybe the Strike around the net I had better feel than the Extreme. All right, then let's talk about serves. I think they were fairly similar actually. I think they both provided me with good power and good spin, so I was able to hit the spots and get the ball moving. Yeah. I think it's a very close quarterfinal, this one. Right, okay. So what would be the deciding factor? What is the factor that takes one through them? For me, I'm going to take the Head through to the semi-finals because I just think the extra spin production, especially when I'm behind in the point, enables me to kind of get back into it and really a little bit more forgiving when I'm under pressure.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that was the toughest one yet. The new Head Extreme Tour, the Auxetic version, is through to the semis. So we've got our semi-final lineup with the Head Extreme Tour, the Babolat Pure Drive, the Babolat Pure Aero 2023, and the Yonex EZONE 98. Okay guys, the first semi-final of the day, you've got the brand new Babolat Pure Aero 2023 and the even newer Head Extreme Auxetic Tour. Okay, these are brand new rackets for late 2022. Okay, and they're both super spin friendly monsters. Okay, you've got the Aero at 100 square inch and the Head Extreme Tour at 98 inch. Okay, this obviously just weighing 300 grams and 305 for the Extreme. So from the back, I guess good spin access to both of them. How did they compare from the back?
Yeah, from the baseline they were both fairly similar, I found. I think there was a little bit more control in the head and potentially even a bit more spin in the Aero.
Okay.
I think the Aero's a little bit more control friendly compared to the previous Aeros that I've used. So I think that was a good factor. Yeah, I think they both produced a lot of power, a lot of spin. So I think, yeah, very similar kind of profiles from the baseline.
So interestingly, the spin was a little bit better with the Aero. Power, how would they compare?
I think power again, probably with the Aero. I think a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's always been known as a very powerful spin-friendly racket. Like George mentions this year, the string pattern is slightly tighter, so you're getting a little bit more control. And definitely the vibration dampening qualities of this version is much better. They've added flax in the frame, so you get more vibration dampening qualities and it plays a little bit softer. Okay, so moving forward, okay, towards the net, what was better in terms of feel, drop shot, maybe a few slices?
Yeah, I love the head for that. I think it had great feel around the net, it enabled me to flatten out the volleys a little bit more, and especially off the slice, it felt like I had good control. I wasn't getting a bit too much spin almost with the Aero sometimes. I think the head really won that battle around the net. Okay,
all right, so maybe a little bit more spin, more power from the baseline with the Aero. Moving forward, the Extreme really kind of took it there. How was it on terms of serves? Okay, serves, overheads, what were you looking at?
I think serves, they provided, again, similar things. I think the head, if anything, a little bit more control, a bit easier to hit my spots on, but then the Aero provided a bit more power on the flat serves, and I was really able to get a bit more speed behind it.
Oh, it's going to be a tough one. So he's a bit of a Babolat boy, George. He's played with Babolats a lot. So you know the feel of a Babolat, you've got the power and spin, compared to a little bit more control and maybe more touch at the net with that. So it's a tough decision.
Yeah.
What does it? What takes it?
I think in this semi-final, it's the Head Extreme going through. I think a bit more control won me over.
Okay, the Extreme Tour is our first finalist today. Tough semi-final for the Aero today, which had a good outing. So our second semi-final today, we've got the Pure Drive, the most popular racket of the last 5 to 10 years in the world, okay? Known for easy power, great put-away ability, and still really nice access to spin, versus the EZONE 98, which has been easily in our kind of top 3 sellers this year. Very popular frame, made in Japan, amazing build quality. So the 100 square inch Pure Drive versus the 98 inch EZONE. What were they like from the back? How did they compare?
I think these two were slightly different in terms of, I think the Yonex is a bit more of a player's racket compared to the Pure Drive. I think it had a bit more feel. I think at the baseline we're hitting a bit flatter compared to the Pure Drive, where I was able to get a bit more spin and a bit more easy power. Moving forward, how was it in terms of volleys coming at the net, your touch shots, your slice battles? Yeah, I think off the slice, I think they're both very similar. I think they provided slightly different things. The Pure Drive gave me a bit more power, a bit more easy spin with the slice, compared to the Yonex giving me a bit more feel, even though it's still providing quite a lot of spin compared to most feel rackets. Yeah. I think around the net, they both felt good. It'd be tough to pick a win around the net. I think if anything, the Yonex for kind of drop shots felt good. I think the Pure Drive for first volleys and tougher volleys felt good. So you mentioned the EZONE from the baseline having a little bit more control. What did the Babolat, in terms of more power, what did that bring to your game? I think it helped when both attacking and defending, really. I think when I was attacking, it provides more easy power. In defence, it means I don't have to generate everything myself when I'm not quite behind the ball. Very close so far. So then serves, what do you think? Yeah, for serving, for me, I preferred the Pure Drive. I think a bit more power, a bit more spin. It helped me to hit the spots and also get a bit more pace generated behind the flat serves. I think the Yonex was good, and especially on the slice serves, but I felt on flatter serves struggled a little bit with it.
Okay, you've got the baseline, you've got extra power and maybe lots of spin from the pure drive, a little bit more control from the EZONE from the back, and better feel around the net, and you prefer the pure drive on the serve. So it's quite close. What is going to take it through to the final?
Yeah, it's another tight one, but for me it's the pure drive.
Okay, all right. The Babolat pure drive through to the final, okay? It's going to take on the Head Extreme Tour, the Auxetic version. Okay guys, so we're through to the final. We've got the pure drive 300 gram, 100 square inch, taking on the new boy on the block, the Head Extreme Tour, the 98 version. So you've said how you've enjoyed both of these from the back. Did one provide more spin than the other?
Yeah, I think they both provide similar profiles. I think the Head Extreme probably provide a little bit more spin from the back, while I think the pure drive probably provide a bit more power. So there's a bit of a trade-off between the two there.
So did you feel more controlled with the Extreme Tour from the back?
Yeah, I think so. I think the extra spin definitely helped that, and be able to get more control over the ball and get it dipping down so I could.
Okay, and where did the pure drive shine from the back in comparison?
The pure drive provides such easy power. I know that when I'm attacking, I can create easy power with it without having to worry too much, and a big sweet spot definitely helps the case. So
moving forward, volleys, you said they're both quite nice in terms of touch volleys. This one, the harder volleys, it really shines. Maybe the first volley, was it extreme kind of, where was the extreme good on those volleys?
Yeah, I think the extreme's kind of similar in terms of the pure drive around the net. I think potentially with touch and feel, the extreme was probably a bit nicer around the net than the pure drive. But again, I think they provide a very similar profile moving forwards as well as at the baseline.
Okay, serves.
Yeah, serves. I think the pure drive, again, similar to the baseline really, I provide more spin with the Head Extreme compared to the pure drive, but much more power with the Babolat, which on my serve, I think that's quite a big factor, getting more easy power as it uses it as a weapon.
Tough question then. What is going to be the racket moving forward? Is it going to be the Head Extreme, control and spin, or the pure drive kind of power, great put away ability?
Yeah, for me, the winner is the pure drive.
Okay.
I think I've got to stay true to myself and keep it in.
It continues then. So there you have it. The pure drive takes the win and is the new winner for George going forward. Make sure to tune in to the UK Pro League where you can see George playing. He's going to be using the pure drives moving forward. Thanks again for watching to the end of the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us put on these videos for you. And as a special thanks to watching to the end of the video, put in the code YouTube10 and you'll get 10% off any of the rackets used in this videos for 2 weeks after the release date. Thanks again for watching, guys.